Hello and welcome to another episode of Glory of Golden State Gaming. I'm your host, Swamp Swimmer, and with me today, my round one opponent of the Las Vegas Open Warhammer the Old World Grand Tournament, Jay. Welcome to the channel, Jay. How you doing? How's life?
I'm doing pretty fantastic today. Pretty fantastic.
Good.
First time I've ever been on one of these, so I'm kind of excited.
Don't worry, you're going to be YouTube famous momentarily.
I know. There, it was Brad Pitt, but soon I'm gonna be taking all his roles.
Soon. You got the looks for it. Don't worry, my friend. You got the looks for it. Since this is your first time on the channel, I ask this to everyone who comes on. What is your Warhammer story? When did you start playing these tabletop war games? What was your first army you collected? How did it all begin?
Yeah. So I grew up in the Deep South, and we don't have, where I come from, very small town. We had nothing like this game. Like the most complicated game I ever saw in my entire town was Hero Quest, which was a lot of fun.
Hero Quest is a fun game.
So I went off to college and then decided to join the military. And I was at my second duty station, getting my master's degree here at Wright Pat, Ohio. And I had a buddy who was in a lot of my classes. And, we used to talk because we had all the same classes. We do homework together, that kind of stuff. And, one day we got on this subject of, hobbies and, things that we're into. And he tells me about how he really enjoys playing this game called Warhammer.
Okay.
And that was about 2008, about the 2008 time frame. So he tells me this thing. He's like, hey, you could go play a game with me if you want sometime. I'm like, that sounds pretty nerdy. I don't know about that.
Nerd.
And he was like, oh, yeah, it's way nerdy. It's a whole lot of fun. So he had told me about it 2 or 3 more times, over the next few months. And then there was one Saturday, I was just really bored. My wife and daughter were off doing something for the whole Saturday. So I was just sitting at home doing nothing. Called my buddy up and I said, hey, man, what are you doing today? He said, you know me, I'm just playing my nerd games. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, do you want to come hang out? And I said, sure, why not? So I drove myself down to the game store where he was playing his games, and I started watching. He started showing me. He was like, okay, you see this unit of goblins right here? These guys are yours. Like, these are going to be yours. So, you whatever you want them to do, they'll just do that. So
That's great.
He was playing Orcs and Goblins, obviously. It was Warhammer Fantasy, whatever the edition 2008 was.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is kind of fun. This is kind of fun. And so that day, I walked home with my first box of Lizardmen Saurus Warriors.
Yeah.
And that was what I started with, Lizardman, oddly enough.
That's awesome. That's a great story. You're the first one to say. They
always have a place that's kind of like close to me because that was my first into the war gaming.
Same thing here. I think it's for everyone. They always have a soft spot for their first army. Both of our first armies are Lizardmen. But I think you're the first one to give the answer. Was Warhammer was just a cure for boredom. So I think that's a great answer.
It started out that way. Now it's, full-blown hobby. I tell all my friends, coworkers come over, I show them my stuff. Some of them are like, oh yeah, that's cool. Some of them are like, oh, whoa, yeah, that's okay. I'm just like, it's my jam, man. That's my jam.
Love it. Us war gamers are a certain breed. That's a good how did you get into the hobby story. Thank you. But we need to get into the battle report. Let's do this. Okay, so as I said, we were paired into each other round one. I'm playing Lizardmen. You are playing Orc and Goblins tribes. This is upon the field of glory with baggage train and domination. So baggage train is the object in the back of your field that can be controlled and or destroyed by your enemy, and domination is at the end of the game controlling table corners. And this is the Las Vegas Open. It's Las Vegas. I mean, it's so much fun. Did you get out on the town on either Friday or Saturday night?
A little bit. I walked down Fremont Street because I was staying at the hotel there. You know, it was real close to the venue. And Fremont Street Friday night was like a lot of fun. They had like three different bands playing different kinds of
Yeah.
music along the street. I'd always heard it was like old Vegas and just smells like smoke everywhere, but it was freaking awesome.
Yeah, Vegas is fun. It's fun. Yeah. It's a good time. It's a good time. Drinking and having fun. Let's see here. I'm gonna jump right into my army. Let's talk about what I brought. So I brought the Lizardmen. This in this tournament they did use the Renegade pack. So the Lizardmen are a little bit stronger than they normally are. But I had one simple goal in my head for this list. I wanted the most amount of magic missiles I could get. So I only have two characters. Magic missiles, and I didn't want to care about leadership. I didn't want to care about leadership at all. So I only have two characters. Both of them are Skink Priest level 2 on Ancient Stegodons with the Engine of the Gods. So that's two magic missiles right there. They're both on Elementalism. One has the Lore Familiar, and one has the Ruby Ring. So that's an automatic 2 more magic missiles, possibly a third if I roll into the second Wind Blast. Then I have 6 Jungle Swarm, 4 times 13 Skink Skirmishers, 3 Bastiladons with Solar Engines, so that's, 7 magic missiles, and then another Stegodon with a giant bow. And my basic tactics for this list is shoot, 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 get Plague of Rust off, and poison, shoot, shoot, shoot. And then when the enemy gets to me, it's put those jungle swarms in front of whatever they're attacking with, let them charge the jungle swarms, they come back 2 inches, and then countercharge with monsters. That's my whole game plan. I think I'm like, and walking up to this tournament, I'm like, oh, I think this list can do something. I think I have discovered the key to playing the Lizardmen in Warhammer: The Old World. It might be a little bit of arrogance there, a little bit of bravado, too much bravado, but we'll see how I do in this tournament. I think it's a cool list. I've actually tweaked it after the tournament. I want to keep testing it and do more things. I actually wanted to run a third Ancient Stegodon with a third Engine of the Gods in the rare slot there, but they actually had a comp in this tournament that the number, rare choices are 0 to 2 in an army. And they said if you use that as a mount, that counts toward the 0 to 2, so I couldn't actually have 3 Ancient Stegodons. That's why I had the regular Stegodon and special. I think the reason why they had that comp was balloons in Cathay armies, but it affected me, unfortunately. And in my new list, I've got the third Ancient Stegodon. Anyway, I digress. I think this is a cool list. Don't sleep on the Lizardmen. But let's jump over to Jay's list, who is bringing Orc and Goblins tribes. Jay, I would love for you to go through this list. You don't need to go through this line by line exactly what every model has, but just tell me the gist of it. How does it work together, and how do you plan on winning games with this list?
Okay, so my thought process going into this list was it's all painted. So, yeah, it was a little more than that. When I first started my Orc and Goblins army, which wasn't all that long ago, I told myself I'm really only interested in playing orcs and goblins, not night goblins, not trolls or squig hoppers or any of that stuff. I just want regular orcs or regular goblins for the most part. So you'll notice like that's really all you see here is orcs and the gobos. But for starters, you can see there I have 3 bolt throwers. This was originally going to be my answer to like large monsters and keeping them honest, characters. Like things like dragons and stuff like that. I think I had one game where they really pulled their weight, and other games they'd go like 3 turns in a row without wounding anything. So, yeah. I mean, but they're goblins, so that's like par for the course, right?
Yeah.
But the meat of the list starts out with one big unit of black orcs.
Yeah,
In my
you
opinion,
see that a
they're
lot.
pretty
You see that a
awesome
lot.
now with the Motley Crew thing, you know, being
Yeah.
able to have the shields and then in the front row and the great weapons hitting after that if they get charged. So, you know, they are the workhorse of the army. I had put two characters in them, my battle standard bearer and my general for most games. Had a second unit of orcs because I needed you know, some more core points, and wanted a big unit of orcs to put my shaman in because I
Hmm.
had the orc shaman just to get that +1 to cast. Um, and that was really it for big infantry blocks. Just the two. I had two small units of goblin wolf riders, basically to be like march block to try and, you know, hunt
Hmm.
war machines if there were open war machines, you know, bait charges, you know, things that those cheap 50-point units do. And the rest, I think, was just rounded out by cavalry and chariots. You know, I wanted one big hard hitting unit of cavalry. So, you know, they had the big guns upgrade with the banner of butchery and spears. So
Yeah.
charging, they're like strength 6, which, you know, which was pretty good. And they had a character with it. The other one was just supposed to be a cheap throwaway cav unit that can do some damage. The chariots were in there just to support everything else with, you know, impact hits and whatnot. Try to be mobile, try and get some flanks, you know, things like that. Sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. Oh, the only other thing that I had in there that I didn't mention were a small unit of black orcs just to give me access to that second black orc character that I wanted.
Yeah.
And but they actually did a really good job holding down one side with all the other orcs that were impetuous and with terrible leadership would just want to run
Yeah.
off, you know, didn't want them to. So keeping that little tiny unit to keep like chariots and cav like in check was also pretty cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it seems like that's the most recent hallmark of any real orc and goblin tribe's army right now, is the big block of black orcs with characters in them. But I think you really beyond that. Your army is really diversified of like the number of small striky units. The chariots, the unit of 5 black orcs by themselves, the boar riders. I think this is a really good list. And then it's just supported by 3 bolt throwers, which exactly as you said, they're goblins, but hey, you roll some good dice and they can really do something. Also, you mentioned that you just wanted regular orcs and regular goblins. I remember, like, from way back when I started playing Warhammer, there's the night goblins, there's the forest goblins, and then there's regular goblins. And I never, in my head, I never thought of them as regular goblins. In my head, I always thought of them as plains goblins because they rode around on wolves, so like they ran around the plains. But maybe that's
Yeah.
just me in my own head. The plains goblins, they are pretty plain.
Yeah, they don't do much but annoy stuff.
All right. So our lists are ready, and we're gonna get into the game here. Okay, so deployment. I can't remember who dropped first or not in our game, but we both had a ton of drops. So in my strategy on my army always is to drop the 4 units of skinks first, then the swarms, then the monsters, and the monsters the most important. If you see way back in the bottom of my line, bottom left, you see my baggage train. That's actually my my Slan model with a salamander put together. That's my baggage train. And your baggage train ended up being way in the top right on the other side of the hill. And I don't think either of us even got close to getting to each other's baggage train. So that kind of got
Yeah,
left out of the
I
game.
my baggage train is really hard to see because it was literally just a base.
Yeah.
I didn't have one. I haven't made it yet. There are ideas percolating, but not yet.
So I was dropping my skinks, and then I think you were dropping other stuff. And I think when I dropped my swarms in the center of the board, they're vanguarding off the hill in the center of my lines. You dropped, I think, your black orc unit or maybe your other orc unit, and I realized I wanted to focus all my monsters on the left on that hill, and then do a sweep motion. That was my thought process, because you're on the left side of the board. that's your weak side because you have the boar unit and then the goblin wolf riders in the top left, like cut off by the screen. What was your thought process when you were dropping deployment here for this game?
So it's hard to say because I have only played a couple of games with the orcs and honestly haven't played a whole lot of old world in general. So I guess I wasn't really going in with a theory. I just my black orcs always kind of anchor the middle. And I try and leave the fast stuff to a point where I can like maybe counter or put them near what I think they need to be near. So I honestly can't remember what exactly my thought process was going here. My first drop's always the bolt throwers on the hill that I hope's in my deployment zone. But yeah, you can see on the right side of the screen there, like I think my heavy side is that side because I saw you were kind of weak with the skirmishers that way. So I was hoping to kind of do an end around with just a couple of things on the left there to just kind of be annoying on that side. You probably can't tell, but the unit of orc cavalry there on the left was like the small chump unit, right? The basic one. The orc unit with all the buffs are way over there on the right. So they were hoping to come in, maybe get rid of some skinks, and then swing towards monsters on by 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And unfortunately, your deployment zone had that impassable terrain right in the center, so you did kind of have to choose a side. And you went on your left, and we both went on opposite sides of each other, and then we're attempting to kind of yin yang onto each other. All right, let's see here. I'm not gonna go through every turn here, but I'm just gonna I spent the few turns shooting and magicking your 2 units on the left, specifically the boar boys, and I end up killing them, I think, after 2 turns. But you end up pushing towards the center with your black orcs, and this is the turn, top of 2, when I got the first turn. I set this up for you right here. I don't give you any charges. I'm going to shoot those boar boys more, and you have the black orcs coming toward the center of the board. And I don't think you took the bait, but you decided to push your black orcs hard in the center. And I did exactly.
I figured that,
so what was your thought
if I didn't do that, if I didn't push the black orcs in the center, you were just going to sit there, just like you said. Your strategy up front was, sit back, just kind of blast them off the table. Had I not pushed hard, I think that would have just inevitably killed them all.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. And then I did exactly what I planned. I threw those swarms up in front of the Black Orc unit, and then I surrounded it with counter charges and shooting and poison and magic missiles. And I think my dice just got hot. I don't remember how lucky I got, but they got hot, and I blew away all but like 2 regular guys and your 2 characters in there. It was a shockingly good round of shooting for me. You did set up a couple charges to the right with your chariots, and I was trying to chaff them, but it ended up that the chariots could hit the skinks and overrun into the monsters, but I was like, whatever, I have to go after this Black Orc unit. And then after that happens, you decided, whatever, you're still going for it. You kind of had to charge into the swarms, even though the unit was pretty decimated, right?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, we're just, crying wah and just want to roll some dice.
I mean, and then when that happens, the swarms obviously don't die. They go back 2 inches. I countercharge. I end up killing the unit, and then I'm just fighting literally just characters. And I think I kill the general, and all that's left is the BSB. And ends up the BSB, like the combat gets all broken up in weird places because the characters are on their own now. And I ended up killing your wizard that was in the unit, the general, and then the BSB was the one that was left, and it fell out of combat, and they ended up shooting it. I won't go through the rest of the game, but basically the rest of the game is me trying to kill that BSB and then slowly shooting off the chariots and the other boar unit that were coming down my right flank. and I was successfully able to do all that. Oh, actually, no. Does the BSB survive at the end of the game? I can't remember.
I can't
No, I
remember
killed
either.
him. I got him. I got him
It
eventually.
doesn't look like I see it.
So my one question for you is a decision you made was the other orc unit with your wizard in it. That's you decided to keep it in your deployment zone. Basically, were you just keeping that back to hold for domination?
Yeah, I'm not sure. To be quite honest, I'm
No
not
worries.
sure. If I had it to do over again, I probably would have put the shaman in that unit and just
Mm,
moved that unit up slow so the shaman could throw out his magic missiles. I think I made a mistake putting him in the black orc because it was either march the black orcs or use the shaman, his
yeah.
magic missiles. So that was probably a mistake. Um, I don't think I did that for the rest of the tournament though. So just glad I learned from that one.
Hey, game one is when you live and learn. You figure it out. Um, Overall in this game, definitely I rolled I think maybe a little above average. Your bolt throwers rolled very poorly because the bolt throwers had a lot of really prime targets for them, especially the Bastiladons. And you rolled really, really poorly on them. I didn't get to them in the game. All three survived. All three are still on that hill there, but I think they did very, very little wounds.
Yeah, they didn't. I can't remember if it was our game or the my game two where turns 5, turn 6, something was sitting there with 2 wounds left, and I had 3 bolt thrower shots at it both turns and just nothing. When you've got 6 monsters, they're not that scary. If it were like, you know, one dragon or something like that, maybe it would force them to kind of play a little farther away. But as far as the strategy you were talking about, like you executed it to a T because that's exactly what happened in the game.
All right, well let's get to the results here. Obviously, I got an 18-2. So I didn't table you. This was not a tabling situation, but I got 18 points. Solid start for the Lizardmen. Um it didn't go the way you planned it, unfortunately, but sometimes that happens in Warhammer. Um Give me question 1. How was the rest of the tournament for you? Did you have a bunch?
Oh man,
Did you get some more
I
wins?
had an absolute blast. I had so much fun. I ended up going 2-3.
Okay.
So I
That's very
was
respectable,
I
yeah.
was pretty happy. I thought to myself before even going in there, what if I win 2 games? I'm happy because I haven't been, putting a whole lot of time into playing the game. It's just got that, first game nostalgia for me. So I enjoy it over 40K. Um, the old world community just seems a lot more chill, than the 40K
Yeah,
community
that's
at
true.
LVO. So I just went to have a good time. I had a blast. I had great opponents. You were a great opponent. My second opponent was another Lizardman player with completely different. Our game was the exact opposite of yours and mine. I think I ended up like 19-1
Oh,
on
wow.
that game, against a different Lizardman army. But he was great. He, you know, uh, throughout the game, even when it started to really swing downhill for him, he wasn't salty about anything. He was just like, you know what, I'm just here to roll some dice and have a good
Yeah,
time. So which
that's the
is
way you got
kind
to
of
be.
that's the way I went into the tournament, right? So I was happy as long as I wasn't you know, faced off with somebody who's, just a jerk. Then I was going to be happy and I was good. I was good. I had a real good
So I've
time.
got two parting questions for you. One,
Yeah, man.
how your next tournament, are you going to take this Orc and Goblins again, or are you going to take them and adjust your list in some way? I'd love to hear that. And 2, do you plan on coming back to LVO next year?
So for the first question, I probably will take my orcs and goblins just because my older armies, I have not rebased them yet. Um, so I've, got my old Lizardman army that are still on
Yeah.
their 25s and 20s. If I ever got around to doing that, because I mostly play games against my wife here at the house, or just friendlies. If I ever got around to doing that, I would probably take the Lizardmen.
Yeah.
My wife's in the background. She just said no, that they're hers now, and that I can't take them. She goes, mm-mm.
As long as she comes to the LVO also, then we're good.
Yeah, I tried to get her to come with me, but she was like, I don't want to go. I'm just going to be bored while you nerd out. So, although she loves Vegas a lot more than I do.
No, she has to come and play in the tournament with the Lizardmen.
That's what I keep telling her. I'm like, just get out and play games that are against people that are better than me, so that way you can learn more.
Yeah.
But I will probably take the Orcs and Goblins. It'll definitely be a different list. The multiple smaller units of like the chariots and the calves, I'd probably take those out. Either
some bigger blocks.
Yeah, maybe some bigger blocks. Thinking about doing maybe a second unit of Black Orcs, instead of the regular Orc unit, because I don't think they did much, for most of the tournament.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice. It's really not a bad choice.
As far as Vegas, I will be back at LVO next year if my wife lets me go.
Come on, let him go. Let him go.
You hear that, honey? They said let me go.
Yeah, but we're going to Japan next year.
She says we're going to Japan next year.
Oh, well, what can you do?
I don't know.
Japan's a cool trip also. I can't deny that.
I'm just sitting here like, Porquito los dos.
Yes, exactly. ¿Por qué no los dos?
I'll just play some poker while I'm out there, win us some money to cover the trip. It'll be all good.
Exactly right. Yeah, bank on your gambling winnings. I love it. Well, Jay, I want to thank you for coming on the channel. Thank you so much for the great battle report. I wish you luck in your next games, and
you too, man. You too, man. Keep rocking the lizards.
I'll see you next LVO.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Woo, you don't need to hang up. You don't need to hang up.